My dear friends, today, we bring you an exciting and captivating story about a powerful sorcerer who is part of the army of the King of Demons. What is the secret of this sorcerer, and what is his power? Let's find out. But before we begin, don't forget to show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel, and turning on the notification bell. Our story starts with our protagonist, Ike, the grandson of the great sorcerer Rumberge, who is currently a commander in the army of the King of Demons. He is attacking one of the strongest human fortresses, and we see the army of demons surrounding the fortress. With a gesture from Ike, the fortress walls explode, and the soldiers all rush in. Ike's assistant praises his power, telling him that they will soon take over the fortress. The exhausted commander of the fortress is surprised that Ike was able to destroy the walls so easily. We then see Ike's soldiers, the Aurochs and Goblins, engaging in combat with the humans and quickly overpowering them. At the same time, Ike sneaks into the commander's room, where the commander is surprised by his appearance and asks who he is. Ike introduces himself as the commander of the 7th Legion in the army of the King of Demons and presents the commander with 3 choices: surrender and save his life and that of his soldiers, commit suicide to preserve his honor as a commander, or flee the area to save himself. The commander responds that he will choose a 4th option and attacks Ike with full force. However, Ike was expecting this reaction, and with a wave of his magic wand, he defeats the commander. Ike then calls in his assistant, who is surprised by the commander's condition, but follows Ike's orders to treat him. Meanwhile, we see a witch observing the events unfolding in the fortress, particularly focusing on Ike. She says she didn't expect Ike to be able to take over this fortress in just 1 week, and she was right when she appointed him. We go back to Ike, who is performing a barrier spell in the place and looking at the traces of the battle. He says he feels guilty because he was the reason a large number of people were harmed. He will never get used to this war and violence. But wait a minute. How is a demon with a soft heart and saddened by people in this way? The truth is that Ike is actually a human hero, not a demon, and he is wearing a mask to hide his true identity from the demons. This is because his grandfather, Rumberge, was a great and famous wizard in the world of demons and has knowledge of all types of magic and ancient civilizations. One day, Rumberge found Ike as a baby and decided to adopt him, raise him, and teach him everything he knows about magic. In the last moments of his life, he asked Ike to keep all the information he told him about the ancient civilizations a secret, because if it falls into the wrong hands, it will cause disasters. In addition, he ordered him not to remove the robe and mask he is wearing, as they hide his true identity from the rest of the demons. If the King of Demons knows Ike's true identity, he will never forgive him, and there is a good chance he will kill him. Ike is thinking that he has finally found time to sit alone and rest a bit after removing his mask, feeling assured that no one is watching him. However, he is surprised by his servant hiding under the desk he is sitting on. As soon as their eyes meet, the servant throws herself in front of him and begs him not to kill her, saying she saw nothing and knows nothing, and starts crying. But Ike is the one who wants to cry, as he has been guarding his secret for 20 years, and in the end, it will be revealed because of a mistake like this. His assistant cuts off his thoughts, calling him to ask what he will do with the people in the fortress, and informing him that the rest of the King of Demons' army commanders are finishing off the people and destroying any fortress or city they enter, unlike what he is doing. And Ike explains to him that the current King of Demons is different from the previous one, and all he cares about are the results, without worrying about what he will do to the people, and if they are killing all humans. Who will pay them taxes then? And Arsnam, the commercial city they have taken over, it's not reasonable for them to destroy it. At this moment, Ike stands to see what the people gathered before him want from him. The assistant tries to send them away, telling them how dare lowly humans like you want to talk to Lord Ike. But Ike asks him to be silent and listens to them. When he learns they want to know what their fate will be under the rule of the King of Demons, he explains that their situation won't change much, and they will pay the same taxes as before. All the humans are relieved, as they never expected such treatment. However, if any of them even thinks of resisting the King of Demons' army, they will be wiped off the face of the earth. Suddenly, Ike disappears from the sight of the humans and finds himself in a dark place with a monster attacking him. He quickly avoids the attack and asks, "What is this behavior? You promised me you will not play these stupid tricks again." And his commander, who is watching the events, tells him how it will be a surprise when I summons you next. Ike takes out his wand and casts a magical spell, defeating the monster with a single strike. His commander tells him that the young boy who was hiding behind his grandfather all this time has grown up to be a powerful sorcerer. We learn that the commander's name is Severo, and she is the only one who knows his true identity after his grandfather. Ike tells her that it's been a while since they've seen each other, and he was thinking of visiting to report on the latest battle. She replies that there's no need, as she knows everything and has been monitoring all that's been happening to him. And she tells him, "If you concerned that my opposed to your treatment of the humans demons, I have no problem with it, and I've given you the freedom to deal with them as you pleases. He asks her in surprise then why you summoned me here, and she pauses for a moment and then explains that the king of demons, Darrow, wants to meet him personally. She informs him that he is the first commander in history to be granted the honor of a personal audience with the king of demons. Ike thinks to himself that he has been barely keeping his secret, and now they want him to meet the king of demons. And he asks her what the king of demons wants from him, and she says him that his recent performance has amazed the king of demons, especially his performance when he conquered the city of Arsename in 1 week. Because of this, the king of demons wants to take him to the castle of the king of demons, and she approaches him to transfer him and asks him to put his hand on her shoulder, and when he does, she tells him that she missed him during this period and she will take him in her embrace. But he tells her that after the prank she played on him, he can't even hug her, and he's thankful he didn't explode at her. They return to the castle, and they see the servant who fainted from fear of Ike waking up and trying to escape the place. But she is surprised by the invisible barrier that Ike put, and she can't get out. She finds a message written in the language of the demons, asking her to wait quietly until Ike returns. And next to the message, there is a plate of food. Since she doesn't know what the message says, she decides to eat first and then see what to do. When she finds the food to be very delicious, contrary to her expectations, she pounces on the plate as if she hasn't seen food her whole life. Meanwhile, Ike and Severo have arrived at the castle of the King of Demons, which looks terrifying with lightning striking it. Severo asks Ike if he's affected by the magical aura surrounding the castle, and when she finds him calm, she tells him that's normal because he's human. After a while, they reach the gate of the castle of the King of Demons, where a group of guards, including a wizard, are standing. Ike asks Severo if the wizard verifies the identity of anyone entering the castle, and Severo tells him that of course, anyone entering the castle of the King of Demons would be searched. Ike then asks what they'll do when they find out his secret, and Severo looks at him and tells him not to worry, since he's with her, and she casts a spell that greatly increases his magical power. The guard expresses admiration for Ike's strength and tells him that he deserves to be the grandson of the great wizard Rombeg. Ike is surprised and asks the guard how he knows his grandfather, and the guard tells him that there's no one in the demon world who doesn't know his grandfather, who is famous beyond belief. Ike feels proud that his grandfather is so famous, even after his death. At this moment, Severo appears from behind the guards and tells them that this is not a time for acquaintance. She looks at Ike and asks him to follow her because the Demon King is waiting for them. So he follows her without the guards interfering. And on their way to the Demon King's chamber, we learn that the castle is built enormously to reflect the Demon King's power. All the rooms are very large, and the corridors are all long, which tires Ike from all the walking. He looks at Severo and asks her how much longer until they reach the Demon King's chamber. She replies that they are almost there, and asks him if he is jealous of her because she can fly, and he cannot. Ike tells her that he is not a small child, but in reality, he is jealous of her, because although he can use the levitation spell, he cannot control it like Severo can, and all he can do is use it to jump long distances. When they finally reach the door to the Demon King's chamber, Severo asks Ike to wait until she goes in first and informs the Demon King that he is coming. Ike thinks that the current Demon King is the reason for the change in the course of the war and the victory of the demons over the humans. He is known to be the most powerful person in the demon world and is famous for his strength and cruelty, killing anyone he deems weak. However, he can also recognize talented individuals and use their abilities in the best way possible. Because of this, he has revolutionized the way demons think, as they are usually in constant conflict with each other from the moment they are born, and he has managed to make them cooperate with each other. As Ike is thinking about meeting the Demon King, he hears Severo calling him and asking him to enter. After entering, Ike and Severo are found kneeling before the Demon King, who is sitting on his throne with great pride. And the king asks Ike to raise his head so he can speak to him. And when Ike does, he is shocked to find that the Demon King, Dario, whose mere mention strikes fear in anyone, is actually a girl around the same age as them. Dario welcomes Ike to her castle and praises his performance in taking control of the city of Arsename in just 1 week. Ike humbly replies that he only followed orders and that the credit belongs to Severo. And Dario tells him that he is as humble as a human. The confusion and fear are clearly visible on Ike's face as he regrets his words and wonders if Dario has revealed his secret or not. At this moment, Severo intervenes to save the situation and tells Dario that Ike is the grandson of the famous wizard Rumbrug, known by the title Guardian of Hell. So, Dario tells her that this is why he appears humble and different like his grandfather, and why he did not destroy the city of Arsename and kill its leader like the other leaders. At this, Ike says to himself that he wished he had listened to his assistant and done like the rest of the demons, relieving himself of this headache. However, he retracts his words because he is human and could never do such a thing. An idea then occurs to him to free himself from the doubt surrounding him, so he asks Darrow for permission to speak. When he is granted permission, he explains to her that history proves that humans fear cruelty and violence, but do not love them. And if they compare the productivity of the cities, whose leaders were executed and destroyed by the demons, to the cities whose leaders remained alive, they will find that productivity is much greater in the cities where humans were treated better. It is clear to him that the best way the army should treat humans is the latter method. Darrow asks him with interest if this is his grandfather's opinion, and Ike replies that it is his grandfather's opinion and his own as well. Through this simple conversation, Ike becomes convinced that Darrow has immense power and knowledge of ancient civilizations like his grandfather, which she used to control the world of demons and change their situation. Ike is surprised when Darrow disappears from her place and appears before him, telling him that he is different from the rest of the demons and that the next time they meet, she hopes to see his true face, not this mask. She then leaves, informing him that she is expecting amazing results from him. When she leaves, Ike falls to the ground, thanking God that she left, as he had feared she would expose him at any moment. Severo asks him why he is so afraid of her, and Ike explains that he is wearing a frightening mask, but in reality, he is very afraid because he is human. The problem is that Darrow knew he was wearing a mask. Severo tells him to be thankful that she didn't know that you are human, or else she would have killed you, and informs him that Darrow has granted him a reward for his performance. And Ike asks her in surprise, what reward? Severo completes her statement, saying that the reward he is going to receive is considered a punishment for her, and Ike returns to the fort to find the maid sleeping soundly after she had consumed the food that was there. As soon as he wakes her up, she gets startled and starts begging him not to kill her. He reassures her that he will not kill her. When she calms down after being assured of her life, he asks for her name, and she replies that her name is Sati. He tells her that he cannot let her go now that she knows he is human. When she hears this, she clings to him and begs him not to kill her. He pushes her away and reaffirms that he will not kill her, but in return, she has to become his servant so that she does not reveal his secret. Before he finishes speaking, Sati embraces him and agrees. The next day, we find Ike and his soldiers present in the city of Ivalis, which he will now govern. He remembers when Severo informed him about his reward, which is that he will take over the rule of the city of Ivalis. He asks her in surprise why Ivalis and not Arsnam, which he had conquered. At this point, Severo explains to him that this city is on the southern border with humans, and there is a high probability that they will attack it. Despite its small size, its strategic importance is significant, and his mission is to protect and develop this city until it produces double the output that Ike was producing. Ike protests, saying how can they demand of him to double the output in the middle of this war? Severo responds that if he does not like the decline, she will make it twice as much, and he is forced to accept it silently. Ike snaps out of his thoughts and looks at the completely destroyed state of the city. He says that Severo has destroyed the city without considering anything, and this will add to the work he is supposed to do to develop the city. He turns to his assistant and asks how long it will take to repair the city wall that Severo has destroyed. The assistant informs him that it will take about 6 months, as they will have to rebuild it almost from scratch. Ike tells him that this time frame is not acceptable, and they need to build the wall as quickly as possible, as humans may attack at any time. After some thinking, Ike reaches an idea that will allow him to complete the wall construction in just 1 month. The assistant asks him how he is a wizard or what, and Ike explains to him that they will use humans and demons to save time. Indeed, we see humans and demons working together, much to the assistant's surprise, who never imagined the scene unfolding before him. He says he never imagined that Ike would divide the work over the course of the day, and he gives the workers wages to boost their morale and make them work better. Now he just found out why. Ike is considered the smartest leader in the Demon King's army. We see a group of orcs trying to move a huge rock from its place. So, Ike asks them to move away and blasts the rock with a single blow, and we see the amazement on the assistant's face, who says he will follow Ike for the rest of his life because he is sure that Ike will one day become the Demon King. I wonder what awaits Ike. Will he be able to develop the city or not? And more importantly, will he be able to keep his secret, or will it be exposed and everything he's done will be lost? At the same time, one of Darrow's followers is reporting to her about the battles between them and the Kingdom of Rosaria, and informing her that they have decided to form an alliance with the neighboring kingdoms to change the course of the war in their favor. Darrow tells him that humans unite when they face a common danger, and that there is no need to worry because she will leave this mission to Ike. At this time, Ike is sitting quietly in his new office in the Ivalis castle, and we see Sati serving him happily. On the other side, we see the minister of the Kingdom of Rosaria talking to the captain of the White Flower Knights, whose name is Alice, and commissioning her and her squad to attack the Ivalis castle and reclaim it from the monsters who have taken over it, telling her that they must reclaim this castle at all costs to regain the prestige they lost due to their defeat against the monsters. On a street in the Kingdom of Rosaria, we see Sati sitting in front of one of the con artists playing sleight of hand games, and Sati is guessing the location of the ball the con artist has hidden. But when the con discovers that she has no money, he chases her away, and at that moment a gust of wind appears and reveals the con artist's trick of hiding the ball. As soon as the people realize they have been deceived, they demand that the con artist return their money, and they start beating him. Ike appears, grabs Sati, and takes her away from the place, telling her how a servant can leave her master alone and walk away. She apologizes to him and asks him in surprise why he is not disguised as usual, and he answers her that they are on a mission to gather information from the enemy's territory. And of course, he will not disguise himself and draw all the attention to himself. As they walk, Ike looks around the place and notices the presence of a number of soldiers. So he concludes that the Alliance's information is correct, but there is something strange in the behavior of these soldiers. He explains to Sati that humans have formed an alliance 3 times before, and in all 3 cases they succeeded in defeating the army of monsters. Sati asks him worriedly if the same scenario will be repeated this time or not, and Ike is surprised by her worry, as he expects her to be happy about the defeat of the monsters since she is human. But she answers him sadly that in the human society, the children of slaves like her remain slaves for the rest of their lives. Look at the group of enslaved prisoners in a cage and know that if you abandon me, my fate will be just like theirs. So Ike reassures her that the current Beast King is stronger and smarter than all the kings before him. And with Ike's discovery of the problems in human society, he decides that he must find a way to change these situations. Before they leave the place, they are surprised by the con man who the people had beaten after they found out he was a fraud. And he calls out to them and asks them to return his money that was lost because of them. So Sati tells him that it's not our fault, you were the one who was cheating and deserve everything that happened to you. But the con man interrupts her aggressively and repeats that they will pay him the money forcibly, and if they don't have money, he is ready to sell them as slaves. At this moment, Ike looks around, and when he makes sure there is no one else there but them, he uses his magic to freeze the assistant man that the con man had brought to threaten them, and a group of icy spears surrounds the con man and his companion from all directions. Despite the situation changing completely, the con man insists on threatening Ike. So Ike pierces one of the icy spears into his shoulder to make him know who's in control of the situation and asks him to tell him everything he knows about the events happening in the city. The con man answers that he doesn't know anything about what's happening in the city, and Ike tells him that since he's of no use, it's better to get rid of him. The con man stops him and begs him to forgive him, and tells him everything he knows about the alliance that will be formed between humans, and that the Kingdom of Rosaria is preparing to attack the Beast King's army before the rest of the kingdoms gather. Ike concludes that the Kingdom of Rosaria wants to regain their dignity and prove their superiority through this attack. But if this attack fails, the kingdom's situation will be much worse than before. After some time of thinking, Ike asks the con man about the location of the attack that the Kingdom of Rosaria will carry out. And the con man answers that they will definitely attack the Ivalis castle, whose wall is demolished and defenses are weak. When Ike gets the information he wants, he leaves him and leaves. The next day, we find Ike in his office finishing some papers, and Sati is preparing tea for him. Without any introduction, one of Ike's followers named Lilith enters and asks him, while distressed, where he has been all this time. He replies that he was on a mission to gather information in the Kingdom of Rosaria and discovered important information. Lilith responds that she is not interested in that talk and looks at Sati, asking who this human is and what brought her here. When Sati introduces herself, Lilith examines her closely and tells Ike how can someone as great as him have an ugly servant like this, and offers to be his servant instead of Sati the human. Sati angrily asks her to stay away from Ike as he is unwell, and this is his rest time. Lilith responds by asking her not to interfere between them and to know her place as a human. Sati replies that she is just doing her duty, and tension builds between the two, nearly resulting in a fight. We leave them and go to Alice and her group, who are preparing to attack the weakly defended Ivalis castle. Despite the soldiers' unease at the lack of guards at the castle gates, they conclude this is due to the castle being under reconstruction. As soon as Alice confirms the preparations are complete, she orders her troops to attack the castle. However, they are surprised when a group of skeletal structures emerges from the ground and attacks them. They prepare to face these creatures, but the problem lies with the orcs raining arrows on them from a nearby hill. Within seconds, the beasts succeed in defeating Alice and her group thanks to their power and the trap they had set. Alice is forced to retreat with her soldiers as their attack has failed. We see Ike's assistant, who says that retreat is the best option for the humans in their current situation, and praises Ike for his information gathering that led to their victory. As they speak, a mysterious figure attacks Ike with an arrow that pierces his shoulder, causing him to collapse unconscious to the ground. In the kingdom of Rosaria, we see the minister frustrated by the failed attack and the retreat of their forces. He orders Alice's imprisonment, as she is responsible for this defeat. The soldier reporting to him requests he reconsider, as Alice is one of the kingdom's best leaders, and her imprisonment will greatly impact the soldier's morale. But the minister angrily responds that he does not care, and demands they imprison her to justify the defeat to the king. We return to Ivalice Castle to find Ike waking up, disoriented and unaware of what happened. He is shocked to see Severo sleeping on his bed beside him. When she opens her eyes, he asks her what she is doing here. She asks him in surprise how he is treating her in such a cold way after she saved his life and kept his secret. After a while, he puts on his clothes, and Severo recognizes that he has been shot by an arrow and has lost consciousness. At that moment, Ike remembers what happened to him and thanks Severo for rescuing him. She tells him that there is no need to thank her, and the important thing now is that no human being died in the last battle, and your actions will raise more suspicions of Dare. Ike answers her insistently that his goal is to find a way for humans and beasts to coexist. Severo asks him to rest because his injury is not yet fully healed, and she disappears from the place. And the next day, we see Ike and Lilith standing in front of the prison, and Lilith asks him what he will do in this place. He answers her that he wants to make sure of something himself, and he asks her why she came with him despite him forbidding her. She replies to him that he will surely feel lonely if he comes alone, in addition to the fact that he last went out with Sadi alone. Ike looks at her and asks her to be completely silent if she wants to stay with him. When they arrive at the gate, they find guards present, and Ike thinks of how to get rid of them without harming them or revealing his presence. But he is surprised that Lilith has struck the guards and made them unconscious in the time he was thinking. When they enter, they are amazed at the large size of the prison, and Ike says they will take time to know the location of Alice's cell. Lilith tells him not to worry, and she will take care of it. And then Ike takes the arrow and examines it, asking himself if it was humans who attacked him or someone else behind the attack. When he feels that someone is inside the room wearing a mask, he quickly puts on a mask, and within seconds Lilith and Sati enter and hug him with all concern. When they reassure him that he is fine, they go back to arguing with each other as usual. At this moment, Ike's assistant enters and throws Lilith out of the room and locks the door. Lilith demands that he open the door for her and keeps cursing him, and Sati thanks him for freeing her from Lilith. Ike, who is ignoring everything that is happening, asks his assistant to find out what happened to the knights who attacked them. When Ike discovers that Alice was imprisoned because of her failure to recapture the Ivalice Castle, he decides he must make sure whether she was behind the attack he was subjected to or not. Within seconds, she had attacked one of the guards and interrogated him, learning the location of Alice. She knows that Alice is in the last cell, and they are on their way to Alice's cell. The guards discover their presence and attack them. Lilith asks how they were discovered. Lilith gives him the keys and asks him to go to Alice's cell and let her deal with the guards. He insists that she not harm the guards unnecessarily, but as he turns, he sees her attacking them. When Ike reaches Alice's cell, he opens the door, but is surprised to find the cell empty. As he examines the cell, he is suddenly attacked by Alice, who tries to stab him with a dagger. Alice continues her attacks on him, but Ike defends himself with his magic staff, finally knocking Alice to the ground. Alice gets up and asks him what he's doing here and what he wants from her. Ike asks her if she was responsible for the attack he faced at the end of the fight, but Alice looks at him calmly and asks if he is really a monster. As they're talking, the guards have surrounded the cell. Alice exploits Ike's distraction and holds the dagger to his neck, demanding to know his true identity. What will happen? Will Ike be able to keep his secret and escape, or will Alice expose his identity and the guards capture him? We'll find out next time. Before we end the episode, please support us with likes, shares, and subscriptions, and turn on notifications to stay up to date. That's it. Peace.